Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dana Devine. I'm the Community Engagement and Communications Manager for the Metropolitan Chicago Breast Cancer Task Force. Welcome to our show. You're watching a live call-in television program brought to you by CAN TV Channel 21. We're a monthly show and we discuss various breast cancer topics that affect women of color in Chicago. You know, though, Chicago has definitely been a part of one of the cities that has seen a significant reduction. This is live, you guys. Significant reduction in breast cancer mortality disparity. We're bringing it down. Woo-hoo-hoo. Yeah, we're doing our part. The call-in number, we're live, 312-738-1060. I'm going to repeat that, 312-738-1060. You got that. All right, it's March 20th. It's election day here in Chicago. It's a big day for us. You know, in Chicago, vote early and vote often, but definitely vote. In fact, you have a couple more hours till 7 o'clock tonight to cast your vote. And definitely let your voice be heard. You know, we've gone too far. Listen, I need the same fervor that you guys went to Wakanda forever and got out to watch that show, Black Panther. I need the same type of enthusiasm to vote. Get your voting, and then we need a little proof, too, just to show us that you went to vote. We're going to shorten it from the Metropolitan Chicago Breast Cancer Task Force. We are affectionately known as the Task Force, and that's what we're going to be for the next half hour, the Task Force. We're a non-for-profit organization, and if you need a mammogram and you haven't gotten yours yet and you're over 40 and you're uninsured and you need a free mammogram, we can get you a free mammogram. Call the task force. If you're uninsured, under 40, you have symptoms, lumps, pain, nipple discharge, we can help you. Call the task force. If you're insured, over 40, but you need help scheduling a mammogram, we can help you. Call the task force. That's right. So it's a new year. It's a new you. We talked about taking care of ourselves this year. Don't deny, verify, hashtag yourself, put yourself first. We are women, we are taking care of ourselves this year. And we talked about starting the year off with your birthday month. Whatever your birthday month is in the year, that's the month we're going to get our pap smears, mammograms, your annual physicals in your birthday month. So now we're in March, so our January and February birthdays, you guys should have already scheduled your appointments. But if you haven't, don't fret, it's not too late. Schedule your mammogram today. So we've talked about this year, just starting the year off right, new year, new you. We've talked about sexuality and cancer. We've talked about, and we're going to talk to male breast cancer survivors. We're going to be talking to mental health issues dealing with cancer. But today's show is about entrepreneurs with cancer, entrepreneurship in cancer. I'm talking those big ballers, shot callers, boom, getting that phone call in the middle of being a mogul and finding out that you have breast cancer. So that's what we're talking about on the show today. So I'm going to remind you of this call-in number because I need you to know, 312-738-1060. If there are any topics that you're interested in, the time is now. If you hear anything that you want to get in on today, 312-738-1060. Now, I would like to bring or introduce you to our guest for today. That's right. We're going to play Who Is She for a minute. She's a self-taught fashion designer. Okay, that's for the young folks. She's self-taught. She taught herself how to do it. Born and raised on the west side of Chicago. Say, what side? She went to Marshall High School. Who is she? In 1984, she started selling her clothes during her lunch break while she was a secretary for the First National Bank of Chicago. Entrepreneur for real. Who is she? With an investment of $5,000 from a very generous client, she ditched her daytime job and went into the fashion business full time. Who is she? Initially, it was a mom and pop, husband and wife sewing team, but today you can find her in the South Loop in a 700 square foot design studio. Please join me in welcoming to the show Chicago's very own Barbara Bates. Woo! Slide on in. We practiced that, you know. We had an actual rehearsal for that. Yes! How you doing, Barb?
I'm good.
So, Barb, you know, her clothes stand the test of time. She designs for men and women. She designs for celebrities. She designs for Oprah. She's designed for Michael Jordan. She's designed for Whitney. She's designed for Dana Devine. So there you go. She goes from celebrities to the ordinary people. And if you can get a Barbara Bates outfit, you're doing real good. But in 1999, Barbara Bates started a foundation.
Yep. In 1999, I started the Barbara Bates Foundation, and its mission was to provide prom attire for young girls who were teen moms, but they stayed in school and they just needed help, you know, to have a beautiful prom dress.
And you started that where?
I got a phone call from somebody who had been following my career, and they asked me, was I the same Barbara Bates that had a baby in high school? And I was like, yeah, what's it to you? But they were like, no, I went to high school with you. So I was pregnant as a teen, but I had to go to an alternative school.
Okay.
Couldn't stay at your regular high school like they do today. And that person said, no, I've been following your career. I remember you. You may not remember me. I work with young girls who are teen moms, and I'd love for you to come out and speak to them. And so I did. I went out and I spoke to them. And when I went in the room, I told my story. I had never told the story before about being a teen mom. It was nothing I ever had to bring up. And it was a release for me. I was telling the young girls a story, but it was really helping me to, you know, yeah, you were a teen mom, but you know, look, you've come a little ways. You're doing some things, and I never had thought about it like that before. That I had graduated out of high school early, you know, that I started my business, and that I was being successful because I was doing what I wanted to do. So that's really how the foundation started. It started out of me being a teen mom, and then later on giving back to girls who were young teens who I thought would need help.
Awesome. And so, when did you decide that you could sew?
31 years later, I still do not sew, and I can't even thread a sewing machine. So.
Ding, 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 ding. We have a caller on that note. Caller. Go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, these politicians want people to come out and vote for them. Every time when they come out and when people come out and vote, when they get in front of the media, they want to they're going to stop all the violence. And you hear every time the violence, more shooting, more violence, and more killing. And they ain't doing their job. The politicians ain't doing their job. The preachers and
Okay, I think you got the wrong show, though. You're absolutely right. I know today is voting day, but we're talking about breast cancer and entrepreneurship. You might have a very good point, but that's the next show, honey. I'm sorry. 312-738-1060. Back to Barbara. Barbara, good old Chicago. It's a big day for us. And
oh, it is. It is.
Get your popcorn, your candy out, because tonight
there's a show.
Is going to be a show. I got to get home for that. So, in 2009, your life changed forever, Barbara.
All right. 2009, my life changed forever for quite a few things. My youngest son was involved in a drug conspiracy, and for a year, we had been going back and forth to court. He was looking at a really lengthy sentence because of a mandatory minimum law that was put into place, and it was horrifying. I mean, just to think that he would be sent away to prison for 25, 30 years for a drug conspiracy. I'm not saying that he never did anything wrong. That's not what I say. But I said that our drug laws are just so backwards, and on American soil, we're putting away young men and women for crimes where the time doesn't really have anything to do with the crime that they've committed. So for that year, that's what I was actually going through. That was like that was killing me. And on April the 27th, it was a Thursday, my son had to self-report to federal prison. On Saturday, as I laid in the bed and cried, just trying to figure out what are we going to do? We got to get him home before this sentence of 19 years that they've given him. And as I was crying and wrapping my arms around myself, I felt a lump. And on Monday, I went to the hospital and I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So I had a double whammy in 3 days. I felt like Job.
So, that's an interesting point, and I don't want to, stop you, but I really I'm very interested in knowing what type of traumatic experience happened prior to your diagnosis, because, as I talk to women, it really does seem like
Yeah, that was it. The courtroom, just being in the courtroom, and when the judge called off the months, they call it off in months. You got to sit there and try to figure it out in years. And when he called off the amount of months, it added up to almost 20 years that my son was going to be going off to federal prison for a nonviolent, low-level drug offense. And I was just numbed. I just fell out. I just couldn't, believe that was happening, because we didn't really see it coming that way. And so, and even the year of going back and forth to court, I couldn't do that because it would just upset me so bad. So his dad would do all of the going back and forth. And after that 1 year of back and forth in court, the day that the sentence happened, it was horrific. It was just horrifying.
So had you been, okay, so you had a lot of stress in your life?
Oh, that was the stress. That was the stress point. This is my youngest son, a son who was away at college, who really didn't have to, do any of this, but was making bad decisions. And it's almost like losing a son, and I say that, just mildly, because I know there's a lot of mothers out there who have lost sons to gun violence or to the streets, and they can't talk to them or touch them. And that was my blessing, that I could still see him and talk to him and still fight for him to try to get him home early. But that was the traumatic thing that happened to me. And actually, when I got the breast cancer diagnosis, I was still trying to go to Washington to fight for him until, I was told, hey, you got to fight for yourself and come back and get him. And so I had to put him on the back burner for a little while. So I went, through a year's treatment.
Well, had you been going to get your annual screenings?
No. I did not think that I was somebody who was at risk for breast cancer. I did not know about breast cancer in terms of I didn't know the education of breast cancer. And so I thought that women with big breasts got breast cancer, white women got breast cancer. You had to have cancer in your family, and I had none of that. So I was not getting screenings.
Hey, which is why, I just put that number up again for you, 312-942-3368. You're talking to somebody now. Because there are so many women, who just self-diagnose or whatever, decide that they're going
intelligent women, intelligent working women, that should be taking care of themselves, but they're taking care of everything around them except themselves. There was no reason that I should not have been going to get mammograms. I didn't have the right information. I just assumed.
Were you insured?
I wasn't sure. I had Blue Cross Blue Shield at the time.
Okay. So,
don't have it today.
Well, okay. So that takes us to entrepreneurship with cancer. So when you're an entrepreneur and you have a life-threatening, disease, and you don't have insurance, and you are in between, projects.
So for me, a blessing in disguise again. On June 1st was the day of my diagnosis, and on June 1st, I had been uninsured for 3 months with my Blue Cross, and on June 1st, my new Blue Cross kicked in the exact same day. As a matter of fact, when I went and got diagnosed, I couldn't even show them the card because it hadn't come through the mail yet. So that was a blessing that, was just a true blessing from God. So I was insured at the time, so that's the great thing, and I did have Blue Cross. I was able to go any place that I wanted to. And ultimately, I did choose to go. I was diagnosed at Mercy, but I got my treatment at Northwestern. And I was working. I had to, get chemo and radiation. So when I would leave chemo treatments, I would just go to work. I would come to work. It took me 15 minutes to get from Northwestern to my office. And sometimes if I was tired, I would go in the back and lay on the floor, put fabric on the floor and lay on top of it.
Your favorite fabric, the fluffy fabric, of course. Not just any fabric. This furry fabric, this type right here.
But I would still go to work. I didn't have the luxury. I didn't have the luxury of being able to stay at home or having someone that would take care of me. I had employees, I had myself, and so I had to keep it moving. So I had to pull myself up by my bootstraps, and that's what I did.
And that is exactly what you did, because you were still doing fashion shows and designing, and were you still doing your prom dresses during your treatment?
Actually, no. My treatment I got diagnosed a few weeks after prom was over with. So I had the whole summer and all winter, and my treatment was over by the time prom geared up again. So the two of them I really couldn't have taken together.
Well, so do you ever, now, do you say to yourself, gee, I wish I had a real job, or do you, or?
Sometimes I think about that. And it's strange that you should mention there was a position that came up with one of the major breast cancer institutions or fundraising people here in Chicago, and they had a job opening for an executive director, and I thought that I wanted it. And then at the end of the day, God just put on my heart that, I've given you a gift. This is your gift, and would you want to go and do something that's different or outside of it? So I backed away from that position, not knowing even if I would get it or not, but I had the right people in place that I could have. But I would never go back to 9 to 5. I love what I do. I love the freedom of what I do. It has its ups and downs. I still work hard. I'm not a woman of means, at all. I still work hard and try to figure out how can I make money so I can get this paid. So it's still the same, the same situation.
Entrepreneurial struggle.
True.
True. We have a caller. Caller. Can you hear us? Hello.
Yes, hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Years ago, my sister, my younger sister, had a double mastectomy, I'm sorry. And myself, I felt so bad, but I had like a lump on my breast, and I told my sister about a month after I got out of the hospital, and she said she would never talk to me again if I didn't go check it out. So I sure did. I went to go check it out, and thank God that I didn't have cancer. But please, tell the men out there, if you feel a lump or...
Absolutely. I mean, that's real talk. So he said that his sister said if he didn't get his mammogram, she would never speak to him again because she had had a double mastectomy. And you men, you cannot discount lumps that you feel just because you're a man. You can't do it. What you need to do, if any problems you find, you need to call this number. I'm going to put it up here again. It's the Metropolitan Chicago Breast Cancer Task Force. If you're under 40 and you feel any symptoms, lumps, any pain, or anything like that, call this number. Do not delay. Days and months matter, don't they, Barbara?
Oh, sure. Even if you don't feel pain, because normally you don't feel pain, but you will feel a lump, you still make a phone call.
That's right. We got another caller. Caller.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi. So what I wanted to ask is if you believe that stress can contribute to a woman's likelihood that she will somehow end up diagnosed with cancer. And if that is in fact the case, that you think that stress and cancer may somehow be related, what do you recommend women who live high-power, high-stress lives do in order to accomplish everything they'd like to accomplish and still sort of minimize or mitigate their risk of being diagnosed?
I think that, and it just sounds so cliche, but I truly believe that like exercising is like a really key, or just something cardio. I find myself when I get like really tensed up, and I don't take high blood pressure pills. I'm 62 years old, and I know that a lot of African American women, younger than me and men, in our community, they want to give us blood pressure pills really quickly. But I notice things like when I feel like tensed and overwhelmed or up in the middle of the night because something's bothering me, that movement, that when I do movement, a brisk walk, dancing, by myself, I think that has a lot to do with, relieving stress. And I think that sometimes in that circle of life that we have, you got to like take 2 or 3 really important things and put them over here, and you got to break that circle so it's not a circle anymore. You're not all over the place, but you're dealing with those important things. And when things outside of those things that are on your 3 important listings come, you have to learn how to say no, or you just have to learn how to delegate responsibilities to someone else. And definitely the time, like yesterday, I had someone come into my office and I sat in a chair for a 30-minute massage. And when I came out of the room, my employee said, "Wow, you even look better." And I thought, wow, he didn't do plastic surgery in there, but I think the relief of just having, your back massaged and just loosening up muscles, sometimes you just got to like break away from our normal routine. Even if it's high power, we got to come back. And if you want to continue to do high power, you got to take care of yourself first.
Good answer. Couldn't have said it better myself. Good answer. So, caller, you there? Caller's gone. But, absolutely, Barbara. Just stress.
Yeah.
Managing stress.
It's difficult. It really is difficult. I can't say I totally have it under control, but when I find myself not, feeling like, hey, I may be like going off the edge, I just back away from it all. It's still going to be there, and you're still going to worry about it. but you just got to like back away and take those deep breaths, the little simple things in life that that you think are not going to make a difference. I can remember my doctor telling me that if there were a pill that cost $1 million and it could keep you, or I'll just say something more reasonable, if there was a pill and it cost $1,000, but it would give you a 50% guarantee that you wouldn't have breast cancer, would you buy it? And everybody would. And that 50% pill that's not really a pill is exercise. They believe that 50% reduction just in exercising and moving around and just staying active.
I agree. And drinking water.
Water is really important.
Water. Yeah, water is very, very important. So, Barbara, talk about the Barbara Bates Foundation. What are you guys doing today?
So, the Barbara Bates Foundation is currently getting ready for our 5th annual Walk Where You Live. And we call it Walk Where You Live because we're not walking all downtown. We're walking right in the neighborhood that we live in. And we're walking over in Douglas Park, and it's going to be on August the 18th. Like I said, this will be our 5th walk. Last year we had 600 walkers. We're looking for 1,000 or 2,000 walkers this year. And the funds that we raised in the past 4 years have gone to Mount Sinai Hospital, which is over on the west side. And we're looking forward to, in the very near future, having a breast imaging center named after myself so that women can go there, receive treatment and dignity, get mammograms, get education. And all of the funds have pretty much come from the community, from people who give a small amount, grassroots, that has turned into a lot to give us a center like that right in the neighborhood.
I feel very good, very good, and just amazing. So, Barbara, clap jack. So we're very proud of you, and all of that you're doing for the community and for breast cancer, breast health awareness. You're sewing still?
No, most definitely still designing. I have a few fashion shows that are coming up, this spring and this summer. This is 31 years for me, and in 31 years I get so many acknowledgments and from the younger generation that's coming up, the next generation, or for people that have seen that, yeah, she's a fashion designer, that's what she does, it's not necessarily who she is. Right. And so I get acknowledgments from people who have seen what I've done in the community, and, they reward me for it with, with accolades, with plaques, with, come out and let us honor you. And that's special when you see that you don't do it for that, but it's nice to know that people notice what you're doing and they appreciate you. And
well, on that note, let me ask you this. How did that fashion star work out for you? She was on a national television show. I was so proud. I used to love watching with Elle McPherson. And how did that work out for you?
The show was good. I did six episodes on the show, and I was bought. 2 pieces were bought by Macy's, and when I came home, it was really great because it gave me a lot of exposure and it gave my business a really nice boost.
Amen. And that's really what that's all about.
Yeah.
That's what that's all about. I just want to remind you that we, the Chicago Metropolitan Breast Cancer Task Force, will be at the Black Women's Expo April 6th to the 8th. And on Sunday, April 8th at 2 o'clock, we're going to have a candid discussion on why we as women don't take care of ourselves, why everything and everyone else is more important than we are. We have prizes, we have games. We're going to be gathering with just everyday women, and so make sure you put that in your calendars, mark your calendars for that, please. I want to thank our producer Donna Lynn Schaefer. Ooh, big ups to her. Can't do it by myself. Music producer Maurice Joshua, Grammy winner Maurice Joshua. Ooh, thanks for the music. Our social media producer Ariel Thomas. Of course, I'd like to thank the Metropolitan Breast Cancer Task Force for making this happen and for providing free mammograms to women around the Chicagoland area. Bada bing, bada boom. If you have a mammogram and you were told to come back for a follow-up, but you have a high deductible health plan, we can help. Call the task force. If you don't have a doctor and would like to get medical home help or a checkup, we can help you. Call the task force. If you have a family history of breast cancer and you need a genetic counselor, we can help you. Call the task force. I just want to remind you to stay tuned. After the show, we're going to continue live behind the scenes with Barbara Bates, and I will share with you my most memorable Barbara Bates moment. I want to thank Barbara for stopping by
Thank you
and
for
being a
having me.
blessing and reminding somebody to get your mammogram. All right? All right. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.